We are live.
Good afternoon. This is a voting session for the House Judiciary Committee on May the 3rd, 2022. I'm going to start off with a number of bills where the sponsors have requested the bills be withdrawn. They include House Bill 944 from Delegate Shoemaker, House Bill 951 from Delegate Buckle, House Bill 997 from Delegate Davis, House Bill 1173 from Delegate McComas, House Bill 1354 from Delegate Cox, and House Bill 1363 from Delegate Cox. We've received letters for all of them asking for them to be withdrawn. Could I have a motion, please?
Move unfavorable.
There's a motion for unfavorable withdrawn and a second. All in favor of the unfavorable withdrawn, please raise your hands. All right, these bills are, anybody opposed to that? All right. All these bills are moved unfavorable withdrawn. All right, we're going to go down the list here. House Bill 210, Delegate Grammer. Been here before. Are there amendments? There are no amendments. Can I have a motion, please, on the bill?
Move favorable.
It's a motion for a favorable. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All right. Is there discussion on House Bill 210?
Good bill.
Okay. Cheers.
What is the,
Were you going to ask who the sponsor was? It's Delegate Grammer's bill.
yeah, that's what I want to, no, I mean, Grammer's a great guy. I can't pull up quick enough. What does the bill do?
House Bill 210, it deals with the spousal privilege and the exception to the spousal privilege. Do you want to describe the bill any more than that, Delegate Grammer?
Now, this was the bill where we had a case in Southern Maryland that ended up going to the Court of Appeals, and the law was challenged. The Court of Appeals left the legislative question to us. This bill's actually, it moved last year and failed on the Senate floor due to lack of time.
Delegate Davis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am going to continue to make my objection to the chipping away of the spousal immunity provisions. I know it's a little late in the game now because we've already chipped it away to almost nothing, but I've been in court before on both sides of this. And when the government steps in and takes away your right to testify or not testify, which was the whole premise behind it was to save families or to not divide families. That was the premise before. I don't think we'd be doing this if it was primarily men and taking away their rights, if it was primarily men who were losing their rights. And I also think it has a chilling effect on people calling the police. Both times I was in court, both people said I would never have called the police if I'd known that my right to not testify or would have been prohibited. So I recognize now that we're way down the road on this whole spousal immunity thing, but I did want to just state my piece. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Delegate Juanita Fisher, then Delegate Conway, then Delegate Grammer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to thank Delegate Grammer for his work on this bill. I always appreciate his perspectives and legislation. I just had a question, Delegate Grammer, what you thought about, and this might be more like my generation situation. I cannot tell you, there's literally my best friend's getting married during the session, so I can't go. The wedding was postponed due to COVID. And I would say, at least for my generation, there has been so many weddings and engagements derailed due to COVID-19 and the inability to get that situation sorted. And like, what do you say in relation to that and the fact that, people might not have been married when they wanted to, but they are engaged, and your bill takes away the spousal privilege only if the crime committed was before they got married, correct? And now they are married afterwards. But that's just a concern for me. And like, that's a reality that my friends and family members are dealing with, especially for like my age range.
Absolutely valid question. The best response I could give you is to remember that this is only ever in the case where your significant other was charged with a crime and you just happen to be the witness. And I think the most telling argument is that Everyone who came to support the bill were organizations who defended battered women. So I searched long and hard for any example that I could find where it would be the average person, and every example I came up with was, and it could be battered men, hypothetically, that were pressured into these situations. But every example I found was a woman who had been pressured into one of these scenarios. And I think that's why the organizations that came out and supported the bill were those who stood in defense of women who had been abused. So, I mean, that's the spirit of the bill. We want to do away with witness intimidation and any kind of loophole that allows for the abuse of women.
But let me follow with the question there. I mean, as Delegate Fisher pointed out, these were people who were together before or during COVID. They had not gotten married. This would deal only if the crime occurred for which the then later spouse would become a witness.
Correct.
Right. So this is after they get married, after the crime occurs for which
That
the
is correct.
spouse becomes a witness.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Delegate Grammer, do you have anything else? And Delegate Conlon is waving me off. All right. The Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I remember these discussions very well, and I actually share some of the concerns of Delegate Davis, but I seem to recall ultimately that when it came time to cast a vote on this, I was ultimately swayed by, at least last year, the scenario was we had, as you say, groups that support survivors of violence in some way in favor, and nobody signed up in opposition, I recall, last year. And the public defenders and, you know, the sort of usual suspects didn't come out against this one, and we couldn't actually hear about any cases. You know, it was sort of a theoretical problem. Is it also the case that this year no one showed up to oppose? I can't recall.
Yeah, we did not. We didn't get any opposition this year, and I think we actually picked up a supporter. I think the House of Ruth supported it this year, and they did not do so in the past.
The witness list included Delegate Grammer, Dorothy Lenig, and Melanie Shapiro.
And no opponents.
All in favor and no one opposed.
Okay.
All right. Seeing no further questions or discussion, we've got a motion for favorable in a second. We'll do a roll call. The Vice Chair.
Yes.
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erican,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Carden,
Yes.
Conaway,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
No.
Juanika Fisher.
Mr. Chair, can I explain my vote?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a no, only because I was a no in 2020, and I want to be consistent. And I don't know. My friends are going through a really different time in getting married and figuring out their family situations, and it's been difficult. And I agree with Delegate Davis's concerns, but I heart the sponsor. Thank you.
The sponsor who is hearted Delegate Grammer.
Yes, and I love and respect you, even if you vote against my bill. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh,
Is that a Me Too, Grammar?
Absolutely, Delegate Davis.
I almost don't want to go on. Delegate Howell,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
McComas,
Yes.
Munoz,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Sham,
Yes.
Tolles,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
All right. I think everyone's here for the first time. Yep, 20.
Thank you.
20 to 2. Okay, House Bill 322. I do understand, am I correct, Delegate Cardin, that you may have an amendment that you wish to offer, but it is not yet ready?
That's correct, Your Honor. Mr. Chairman, I know it happens all the time. I'm working on an amendment. I briefly spoke with Delegate Lopez to let her know. Hopefully we'll have something tomorrow, and I'm only giving myself a short leash on this one.
We are.
Yes,
we
Mr.
will-
Chair.
Yeah, we're bringing it back tomorrow, I think, but yeah, the Vice Chair.
Well, that's interesting. I was just going to say, is this the kind of amendment that we could just hear conceptually and
No,
and maybe just
unfortunately, you
no,
can't,
okay.
because I don't have, I'm trying to work with the bankers to do what they claim is a more technical thing, and I just don't know what it
Okay,
is.
so this isn't like going from 500 to 1,000 or something like that.
No.
Yeah, okay.
All right, we'll we'll vote on 322 tomorrow. 369. There is an amendment, and in your packet, it's 193220. Number 1. We have the committee has heard from Delegate Belcastro, who has been in consultation with the clerks. And what this amendment does at council, it's Lauren, right?
Yes,
Yeah, Lauren, can you describe what the amendment does?
yes, the amendment requires the substitute marriage record to be in an electronic format. The clerks requested this because it was felt that it was too burdensome to go back through and correct all the paper records. So they wanted to do it electronically.
Does anyone have any questions about the amendment? All right. Can I have a motion on the amendment?
Move
Move the
favorable.
amendment. Second.
This motion in a second. We'll discuss then before we vote on it. Did somebody have a question about? I feel like I cut somebody off. Delegate McComas. Unmute yourself, though.
Okay, I understand the electronic would be changed, but if somebody wanted to do, let's say, 100 years from now, wanted to track it back and genealogy and, the whole, the family history thing, would they still be able to do that because they'll have the old original records? If they wanted to do that for some reason, they knew that there were some changes and they wondered, change of names or whatever, how people are with genealogy going back.
I think the issue for the amendment was that they wanted to be able to, the clerks wanted to be able to make a electronic change. Right. So presumably there would be at least somewhere a existing paper record that would still be somewhere in existence. I don't believe, and Lauren, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that the previous paper record would not be destroyed. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
I think you're correct. It doesn't call for the destruction of the record.
Right.
Okay, thanks. That was all I was concerned about.
All right, so we're on the amendment. All in favor of Delegate Belcastro's amendment, please raise your hands, and then I'll call your name like we did before. Okay. The Vice Chair, Grammer, Conaway, Lopez, Cham, Cardin, Shoemaker, Davis, Williams, Shetty, Arakan, Anderson, Howell, Tolles, McComas, Munoz, Jones, Bartlett, Crutchfield, Cox. All right, anybody opposed? Don't see anybody opposed. The amendment is adopted. Now on the bill is amended. Is there a motion?
Move
favorable.
All right, motion for a favorable in the second. All right. We're on the bill as amended. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing no discussion, we'll take a roll call. The Vice Chair,
Yes.
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Arakan,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Hardin,
Yes.
Conaway,
Yes.
Cox,
No.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Juanita Fisher,
Yes.
Grammer,
No.
Howell,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
McComas,
Yes.
Munoz,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
Yes.
Tolles,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
20, 22, 22. All right. We will skip over 425 for a moment. We'll go to 446. This is Baltimore County bill, local bill. They're changing the way they dispose of their marriage ceremony fees. Baltimore City delegation had nothing to do with the Baltimore County delegation approved the change. They sent a letter.
Move favorable.
There's a motion for favorable. Is there a
Second.
second? Anybody have any discussion on House Bill 446? Seeing none. The Vice Chair,
Yes.
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erican,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Carden,
Yes.
Conaway,
Yes.
Cox.
Is this 446, Mr. Chair?
It is.
I'm sorry. That's a yes. Thank you.
All right. Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Juanita Fisher,
Yes. Sorry, I was slow.
Grammer,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
McComas,
Yes.
Munoz,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
Yes.
Tolles, Tolles,
Yeah.
Williams,
Yes.
22. Okay, moving right along, we're going to 481. Vice Chair's bill. Mr. Vice Chair, would you remind the committee what this bill does?
This.
Well, wait a minute. There's also an amendment here. What do you want to do first? You want to do the amendment?
Sure. So this bill we passed last year with fairly big numbers, and the amendment, I think, just conforms it to what we passed last year. And the bill is intended to correct, I believe, an omission or error in the law when we underwent the justice reinvestment effort. We revised a number of criminal penalties, and we took the penalty for possession of drugs from 4 years down to 1 year, but left behind the 4 years on certain paraphernalia like syringes. And so as a result, the people who run the clean syringe programs, again, they are not the drug dealers. These are people who are simply trying to keep people healthy. If they're caught up in this, they requested this bill to remove syringes specifically from this 4-year prison penalty. And so that's the biggest part of the bill. There are other things, other penalties in law, for general paraphernalia, not of the syringe variety, the controlled paraphernalia variety. Your second offense is a 2-year offense. And again, this would bring it down to 1 year, same as the drugs that you're using the paraphernalia for. So that's essentially what it is. We shouldn't have the paraphernalia be more time than the drugs. And so I would move the amendment to conform the bill to last year, and then hopefully move favorable.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second on the amendment. Just to confirm, Claire is the vice chair is correct, right? This conforms it to what we did last year?
That's correct.
All right. We've got, so Delegate Grammer on the amendments or on the bill?
I just wanted to ask in general, this was the bill where due to the criminal penalty,
Well, wait, let's do this. Let me go through the process here because that's going to be on the bill more than and I cut you off very quickly, but the amendment just conforms to makes a
Okay.
technical change to conform. So let me do that. All in favor of the amendment, please raise your hands. Again, to conform to last year. See Grammer, Moon, Conaway, Carden, Lopez, Cham, Shoemaker, Davis, Williams, Shetty, Erican, Anderson, Howell, McComas, Jones, Munoz, Crutchfield, Bartlett. Anybody opposed? All right, so that amendment's adopted. Now we're on the bill as amended. Is there a motion on the bill as amended?
Or favorable.
Motion for favorable. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion favorable, second. Fine. Now Delegate Grammer for discussion on the bill.
So just to clarify, this is the removal of the criminal penalty was due to the fact that you would have someone who would suffer an addiction, and what they would do to dispose of the needles or paraphernalia, they just dump it in the grass, someone's community. And this was to get away from that and allow for proper disposal. Is that generally?
And not just that because the syringe comes with 4 years in prison, it makes them scarce. It's also a problem that they're being hidden from police during searches. And so we actually have a former officer in the assembly who said that this was one of the first questions they ask when they're about to pat someone down is about syringes being a possibility, and a large percentage of officers being pricked. So that and the dumping and the sharing were the three sort of public health reasons that just seemed like, for whatever reason you might have for wanting to think we're doing something good by putting the penalty that high, that it was leading to unintended consequences.
And if there were any drug residue within the needle or other spoon paraphernalia, would the removal of the criminal penalty still apply, or could they still be charged?
No, not really. You would still be subject to a year for the residue in the needle, but at least with respect to a clean syringe, you would not have to worry that carrying that around would subject you to up to 4 if they were going to allege that it was not a syringe being used for any legitimate purpose.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Delegate Erican.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How many charges like this have we had? Is it pretty common for people to get charged for having a syringe?
Sorry, I am poking through the fiscal note to see the numbers here.
Did you say poking, Mr. Vice Chair?
Wasn't lost on me either.
Oh, pun unintended. Very few are ultimately sentenced.
Okay.
I don't know how many are arrested, searched, all the other stuff that comes with it. And again, remember, part of the problem with all of this, people have tried to say, well, can't we just amend it to take care of this scenario or that scenario? For the purposes of public education, we really just want to say the syringe is not the problem. They can get you for the drugs, but in all instances, the syringe is not going to be the problem, because once you make the syringe the problem, the illegality is around the syringe, then all sorts of other issues like the sharing and the ditching and the hiding come into play.
Yeah, I guess my concern is more. I'm not sure why we believe that more access to needles means they'll all of a sudden start caring that they're throwing them on the street. I guess I disagree with that premise.
Well, it's that you don't want to be carrying around contraband, that's going to subject you to 4 years.
Yeah, and also the other issue I'm thinking is people would have to know that this changed, and I just don't know how many drug users who are struggling right now on the streets are going to get the memo really quickly that this is all of a sudden not a problem. And that's like so anyways, that's just my concerns with the bill.
Are there further questions or comments on the bill? Or on the bill as amended? For favorable. Seeing no one else, we will do a roll call here. The vice chair,
Yes.
Shoemaker,
No.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erican,
No.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Carden,
Yes.
Conaway.
Yes.
I'll be very quick.
Delegate Conaway,
Wilson.
could you repeat
Yes.
that? Delegate Tolles, thank you. Delegate Cox,
No.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Juanita Fisher,
Yes.
Grammer,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
McComas,
No.
Munoz,
No.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
No.
Tolles,
I'm sorry. I got distracted.
this is House Bill 481, the Vice Chair's bill on paraphernalia.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Williams.
Yes.
All right. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think I've been screwing up the numbers today. It's 15 to 6. I think the other ones were actually 19, not 20. But they still passed anyway. All right. So now we're off to St. Mary's County. The St. Mary's County's Delegations Bill, House Bill 527. There are no amendments to the bill. And we have a letter from the St. Mary's County Delegation.
Move favorable.
Motion for favorable. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. The Vice Chair,
Yes.
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erican,
Yeah.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Carden,
Yeah.
Conaway,
Yes.
Cox,
No.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Juanita Fisher,
Yes.
Grammer,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
McComas,
Yes.
Munoz,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
Yes.
Tolles,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
All right. That's 20 to 1. That's bill is passed, sent to the floor. Now we have a bill 645. It has an amendment. This is from Delegate Jackson, or at least it says it has an amendment on the front, I believe. Council, can you tell us what the amendment does, please? Does this conform it with last year? I think it's Claire.
No, yeah, the amendment is to conform the bill to the way it passed the Senate.
All right.
And what they did was they just pulled in the entire text of the statute that's referenced for making a false report to a police officer. So it's just kind of technical. It's basically technical.
All right. Can I have a motion on the amendments?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second. All right. Any further, all in favor of the amendment, raise your hands. I see Conaway, Moon, Fisher, Davis, Shoemaker, Cham, Lopez, Howell, Shetty, Williams, Carden, Munoz, Jones, McComas, Tolles, Bartlett, Crutchfield, Grammer, Anderson. Anybody opposed to the amendment? All right, seeing none, the amendment's adopted. We're on the bill as
Move
amended.
favorable.
There's a motion for a favorable. Is there a
Second.
All right. We have a motion to second, bill as amended. Anybody have anything they want to say? Delegate Anderson does.
Yeah, quick question. So basically all this bill does is make it, I mean, is this making it like a hate crime to do a false report? Claire?
Claire?
Yes, well, it's really current law because it's a hate crime to commit another crime based on, racial bias or, religious bias or any of the listed reasons. So this bill is just intended to clarify, and it was prompted by that Central Park incident where the woman reported the man and threatened to, call the police on him and say that he was hurting her. So this
Because he was black.
Yes, and so this is just intended to clarify that that is a hate crime.
Under this bill, it's a misdemeanor, I believe, as well.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, hello, Delegate Shoemaker. I thought it was
Thank you.
David for a
Thank you,
second.
Mr. Chairman. So just to, I guess, segue onto what council just said. This particular type of event's already covered under the hate crime statute that the General Assembly has enacted, or several times, I guess, over the last couple of years. And there's already a law on the books, is there not, governing giving false statements to a police officer? Isn't that right? Can somebody answer that for me?
Yes, but the bill is just clarifying, just in case this situation happens in Maryland and there's some kind of uncertainty or confusion about whether this would be a hate crime. This is just clarifying that it is.
Delegate Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do we know what the Maryland National Capital Park Police's position is on this? I don't remember seeing anything. I know this amendment brings
I
them
think
in.
that that's done as a matter of course. Am I right, Claire, for when you're describing all of the different police departments across the state, you include them as well?
Well, that's the language of the underlying statute, 9501. They just, 9501 of the criminal law article, the Senate just pulled that language in verbatim. So that's already current law. I don't know why in that statute, the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Police are listed separately, but that's why the Senate did that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We're on the bill as amended, right? No, are we still on the amendment? No, we did the amendment, right?
Move favorable as amended.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
No, second. All right. Bill is amended and a second. We will, seeing no further hands, we'll do, Delegate McComas.
Just a brief question, Mr. Chair. What is the penalty alone, aside from this, for giving a false statement to a law enforcement officer? In other words,
$500.
One moment, please. Claire will probably get there first. It's a race.
It's six months and or $500.
Not much of a race.
Not much for race.
I guess my concern is that actually just giving a false statement to a police officer, we're saying that if it's a hate crime, it's much more serious than the underlying giving a false statement period to a police officer. I mean, I think that there should be some parity here you shouldn't be giving false statements to a police officer, period. But the hate crime is like astronomically more serious. And I mean, I think they both should be taken seriously. So anyway, just a thought.
Delegate Winika Fisher, then Delegate Bartlett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to respond just, I think, in the legislation and the fact that individuals that are calling the police or making allegations based on race or gender, you're putting that person's life in danger, right? And so we have all seen over the last 3 years, and specifically for African-American men, an unnecessary interaction with law enforcement, what that can lead to. So I think what this bill is really trying to address is you're calling someone for bird watching or whatever the person's doing, or having a barbecue that's not what you're saying due to their race. And the next thing you know, that you're in a police interaction that could lead to death, for all you know. And so I think that that really is what the heart of the bill is. And it's very different than saying to a police officer, the gentleman went left or right, or he had a blue sweatshirt or not a red sweatshirt. I think that's a really, really different tone and action. And I think the penalties on this bill parodies what the bill's trying to address.
Delegate Bartlett.
I agree with that. And also the penalty under the hate crime, this is what Claire was talking about. The penalty, because it's a hate crime, is 5,000. And then if you destruct property of someone because of race, it gets up to 10 years or fine not receiving $10,000. And then it just keeps escalating. That's already in the law. So what this bill is doing is just pulling that which is already at 10-306 under the penalty into the situation where someone makes a false statement that goes with 9-501. So that language is already in law. This bill does not create the 5,000, the 3 years of the fine, or the fine not exceeding 5,000. That's already in the law. Do you see what I'm saying? I saw an O, so maybe you see what I'm saying. Okay.
All right. Are there further questions or comments on the bill as amended? Seeing none, we're going to a roll call. The Vice Chair.
Yes.
Shoemaker.
No.
Anderson.
Yes.
Erican.
Yes.
Bartlett.
Yeah.
Carden.
Yes.
Conaway.
Yes.
Cox.
Yes.
Crutchfield.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Winika Fisher.
Yes.
Grammer.
No.
Powell.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
McComas.
Yes.
Munoz.
Yes.
Shetty.
Yes.
Cham.
645.
645.
Yes.
Tolles.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
All right, 19-2. All right, that's going to the floor. Now, House Bill 817. Delegate Shetty,
Move
no
favorable.
amendments. There's a motion for a favorable.
Mr. Chair, did you mean to skip House Bill 764?
Oops. I don't have the folder.
It was withdrawn.
No. 764?
Oh, 64. Oh, no.
764?
I was looking at 24.
I do not have the folder. So we'll come back to 764 and look at Valentino Smith. If you're watching, just give me a second. Let's go to House and let's see, ask it shall appear. Look at that. 764. Let's do that then.
Move
Go-
favorable.
Roll it back. We're moving a favorable.
I think there's
Second.
amendments on this. He has amendments. Delegate Valentino Smith has a set of amendments.
And I don't have those. Are they in the packet?
Yes, they are.
They are in the packet. So I do have those. All right, well, this is great. All right, okay, remember now, that's fine. Let's do this. Council, Lauren, would you mind telling the committee what the amendments to 764 do?
Okay, the amendment limits the bill to children in out-of-home placements, requires the report to be made immediately, authorizes either the department or the local Department of Social Services to make the report, and authorizes the department to adopt regulations to implement the bill.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to adopt the amendment?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second,
And a second, okay. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor of adopting the amendment to 764, please raise your hands. I see Bartlett, Cox, Anderson, Davis, Conaway, Moon, Grammer, Erican, Shoemaker, Cham, Lopez, Carden, Williams, McComas, Jones, Munoz, Howell, Shetty, Tolles, Crutchfield. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the amendment is adopted. So we're on the bill as amended. Is there a motion on the bill as amended?
Favorable.
Motion for favorable in the second. All right, now we're on discussion on the bill as amended. Any questions? Any comments? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call. The vice chair,
Yes.
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Anderson,
yes,
Erican,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Carden,
Yes.
Conaway,
Yes.
Cox,
Apologize. The bill number, please, Mr. Chair.
764, sorry. 764,
Yes.
Valentino Smith. Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Juanita Fisher,
Yes.
Grammer,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
yes.
McComas,
Yes,
Munoz,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
Yes.
Tolles.
Yeah.
Williams,
Yes.
21. Okay. Now we continue moving on. Now we're going to go to 817. It's Delegate Shetty.
Move favorable.
Motion for favorable. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Thank you. Now, any discussion on the bill? Any questions anybody wants to ask Delegate Shetty about it? No? Okay. Then we'll do a roll call. I'm checking. The vice chair,
Yes.
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Anderson,
yes,
Erican,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Carden,
Yes.
Conaway,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Juanita Fisher.
It's a huge sponsor problem, but yes.
Yeah, we all agree. Grammer,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
yes,
McComas,
yes,
Munoz,
Yes.
Shetty.
Yes.
Had to think about that a little. All right. Cham,
Yes.
Tolles,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
21. All right. All right. Now we got that one done. House Bill 824. I'm sure there's no amendments here. There are amendments. This is Delegate Williams' bill.
Move the amendments.
Motion for the amendments. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, that's fine. Delegate Williams, tell us what the amendments do, please.
Sure. So the First Amendment addresses a concern that the judiciary had. It just changes the time frame from 2 weeks to 1 month in which they are to provide the data. And then there is a Second Amendment to address some concerns that were raised by MACO and MML, just to also include a state, replace after state also includes or local, so that local jurisdictions are involved as well. And then just a modification on page 2 adding on request by a state agency, an agency of a county or municipal corporation, or an academic institution located in the state, so that those entities would also have access to the data as well to address the concerns that were raised by those organizations.
Move the amendments, or do we?
I think we
already-
did that part. We
Yeah,
moved
we
the
sure did.
amendments and second them, so we're in discussion, but I appreciate Delegate Bartlett's vigor. Delegate Juanita Fisher with a question, then Delegate Cardin.
Yes, Delegate Williams, I wanted you to share who your cross file is in the Senate on this bill.
That is an excellent question, Delegate Fisher. And I'm sure the cross-file on this is a really wonderful person on this one.
I hope so at this point.
A pillar. I'm just trying to,
Wow.
pull that up. Let's see here.
It's Senator Edwards, Delegate.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yes, thank you. Sorry about that. Senator Edwards. So it has bipartisan support. And Senator Edwards, as we know, is a fine young man who has served wonderfully here in the General Assembly and is the cross-file on this bill.
Thank you. You got to my point. Thank you, Delegate Williams.
Whew. Delegate Cardin.
Just real quick, does the judiciary now not opposed, or they still opposed, but they're less?
I don't think I think they don't oppose. From my understanding, the amendment addresses their concerns. They feel as though they're able to provide the information pursuant to the bill within a 1 month time frame. And, later on as MDAC, rolls along, and we can always revisit as to whether they're able to provide the information, say every 2 weeks or so, then we can revisit it at that time. But based on the conversations that I had with them, they feel as though 1 month is sufficient. And they're currently providing some of this information already every month.
Great, thanks.
And clearly, as they start to roll out this pilot to get more housing cases into MDAC, that information might very well be more readily available in the future as those cases are filed electronically. But anyway. All right, so now we're still on the amendments. There was a motion and a second. All in favor? Wait, Delegate McComas would still like to ask a question on the amendments, which is fine. Delegate McComas, you have to unmute yourself though. Still, you're muted.
Okay. The question is actually the fiscal note seems a little high, $270,700. I just kind of wondered if we're all electronic, why it's so doggone high.
Well, we're not quite all the way there electronically, Delegate McComas. We're getting there slowly but surely. We just got to get Prince George's County and Baltimore City online. And so I'm sure that figure will come down once all of those things have occurred.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just kind of thought, wow, that's a tad high, but anyway, okay.
I think the other issue that Delegate Williams was seeking to address with the amendments was by making it a month, it makes it easier for the judiciary to be able to address those things and presumably less expensive. So that's the goal. Okay, so now on the amendments, all in favor of the amendments to 824, raise your hand, please. I see McComas, Fisher, Bartlett, Moon, Grammer, Erican, Anderson, Conaway, Davis, Shoemaker, Cham, Lopez, Jones, Munoz, Howell, Shetty, Williams, Tolles, and Crutchfield. Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed. All right, the amendments are adopted.
Favorable.
Motion for a favorable. Is there a second?
Second.
Gotta love the enthusiasm right now. All right, we're on the bill as amended for a favorable as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing none, the vice chair?
Yes.
Shoemaker?
No.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erican?
No.
Bartlett?
Yep.
Cardin?
Yes.
Conaway?
Yes.
Cox?
No.
Crutchfield?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Juanita Fisher?
Yes.
Grammer?
Yes.
Howell?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
McComas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Munoz?
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
No.
Coles,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
17-4. Okay, now coming to two bills where we are secondary, one which we've seen before, one which we have not, I don't think recently. House Bill 111 is the one we've seen before. This is legislation on an action to collect a private education loan, and as I remember it, it requires that certain information be provided to the person when somebody's seeking to the debtor when somebody is seeking to collect on one of these loans. It is primary in appropriations. They approved it favorable with an amendment. So we have to, I think, approve that same amendment. Council, can you tell us what the amendment did to 111?
Sure. So it deals with something that is preempted already by federal law, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and it deals with correction of a person's credit report. And it was something that they had to fix and correct, but it's minor.
All right. Let's do this. Let's is there a motion on the amendment?
Move the amendment.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, fine. Now, Delegate Cox on the amendment. If
On the
you want to
amendment.
talk broadly about the bill, then I'll get through this and we'll get to the bill, but it's up to you.
No, I had a question on the amendment. Thank you.
Fine.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So my reading of it is that no longer will the bill automatically correct the credit report of the student. Is that fair?
Holly?
Well, yes, but that's taken care of in federal law, so it's already preempted. So we can't we can't have that in the legislation.
And do you know what federal law requires?
No, I do not. But I can look it up if you want.
No, I was just curious if maybe.
And I can
federal
certainly
law-
reach out to a pro.
I didn't know if federal law prevented it. That's what I was wondering. So, okay, thank you.
All right, we're on the bill, on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment, please raise your hands. I see Bartlett, Fisher, Conaway, Moon, McComas, Grammer, Erican, Anderson, Davis, Shoemaker, Cham, Lopez, Williams, Tolles, Jones, Munoz, Howell, Shetty, Crutchfield, Cox, and McComas. Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed. All right, we're on the bill. The amendment's
Move
adopted.
favorable.
Motion for a favorable.
Second.
A second. All right, any further discussion on House Bill 111? Again, we're secondary. Seeing none, the vice chair,
Yes.
Shoemaker,
No.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erican,
No.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Carden,
Yes.
Conaway,
Yes.
Cox,
No,
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Juanita Fisher,
Yes.
Grammer,
No.
Howell,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
McComas,
No.
Munoz,
No.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
No.
Tolles,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
14-7. All right. We'll send that letter to appropriations. Now,
Mr. Chair?
next, yeah,
Can I ask just a quick question on
Uh-huh.
procedure? So that report goes to appropriations and then they have a vote and then both committees have to have a favorable for it to go to the
They-
floor?
they already voted it favorable. We were secondary. We go after them. So they go
Okay.
first, and that's the same thing that's about to happen with the second bill here in a moment.
Okay, thank you.
So when we go first, obviously it's reversed. We vote first and then they,
Yeah, but do both committees have to vote favorable for? it to get
yes,
to the
both
floor?
committees have to vote favorable to be able to do that. And the
Okay,
idea
thank you.
here is if the secondary committee voted against it, then the first committee would then come back to the second committee and say, basically what issues do you have, then they could amend it, go back to the second committee. So it's a way of moving it along in the process without one committee turning it down being totally fatal.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. That's what we're doing next with House Bill 245. This bill, it was an HGO. It was again favorable with an amendment. They voted for it unanimously.
I'll move the amendment.
Yeah, we'll move the amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
And who's got this one? Is this you, Holly, again? No, it's Claire.
No,
Claire?
it's me. And
Claire,
the
sorry.
amendment, HGO's amendment was just adding sponsors. So,
Okay, it was a sponsor amendment.
yeah, it wasn't changing the bill substantively at all.
Okay. Since it's just a sponsor amendment, all in favor of HGO's sponsor amendment, raise your hands. Anybody opposed? Okay. Yeah, all right. I think we approve that amendment because please, let's not. Okay. So that amendment's adopted. Let's, we don't like sponsor amendments anymore, I thought, but whatever. So
Move favorable.
motion for a favorable is amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Fine. Now Delegate Cox has a question. So Delegate Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Just to clarify, does this actually remove the spending cap of 750,000 annually?
It does, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So it repeals the termination date for the pilot program for preventing HIV infection for rape victims, establishes the program as permanent, repeals the annual limit that can be paid of $750 that can be paid to physicians, healthcare providers, and hospitals from the CICB. It indicates there's a fiscal note of 538. I think, again, the overall, the issue, not really the issue, but what the program does is it provides HIV testing for people who have been raped and sexually assaulted.
And
So-
treatment.
And treatment. And treatment.
And the fiscal note, I didn't see that yet.
538
Okay.
in fiscal 23, and then it goes to 716,000 in 2024, up to 739 in 2027.
That's special funds.
Special funds. Right. So this is coming out of the criminal injuries compensation of CICB. So it's not coming out of general fund.
Okay.
All right. Are there further questions on this bill as amended? Seeing none. All right. Let's do a roll call. Vice Chair.
Yes.
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erican,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Hardin,
Yes.
Conaway,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Juanita Fisher,
Yes.
Grammer,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
McComas,
Yes. Oh,
Munoz,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Sham,
Yes.
Tolles,
Sorry, I was muted, Mr. Chair. Yes.
okay, Williams,
Yes.
21. Okay,
Mr. Chair, can we do a sponsor amendment and then make the HGO people?
that
do
bill
the
is
amendment?
gone. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Don't know what you're talking about. We are not going to vote on 425 tonight. However, we are, I'd just like to run through the bill, and I'm going to ask Delegate Lopez, who has been working on this for some time, to lead us in a walkthrough of what the bill does. And if we have any questions, I will keep an eye out for hands that pop up. Delegate Cox, I don't think you already have a question, so that's fine.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I had a mistake and I need a vote change on HB 527 to yes.
All right.
That's the St. Mary's County bill.
All right.
Thank
People
you.
from St. Mary's County called you, I guess. All right, that's fine. We won't make it a practice too much. So it's not an incredibly long bill, but I wanted to go through it. I think I've made it pretty clear to everybody that we were going to just go through the bill tonight, and then we would take up any amendments and vote tomorrow. So to that end, this is considered your fair warning before a voting session tomorrow, where we will be taking this up again tomorrow. Delegate Lopez, would you like to walk us through the bill, please?
Sure. So at the enactment date, what this bill is going to do is prohibit the sale, purchase, and possession of any unserialized firearms. And then it will also create a pathway between the enactment date and January 2023, where an FFL can serialize that firearm. And it's clear about what the specifications for that are. And those are all based on the federal standards. Now, it's important that this committee knows that sometime between April and potentially this fall, there's going to be a new ATF regulation that's enacted. The ATF has a process of making the regulation public. I think this one is about 300 pages. The executive summary is like 30 some pages, so it's pretty lengthy, but for the extent of this conversation, they are essentially creating a new class of federal firearms licensees that will be able to engrave these types of firearms. And there'll also be like a federal ban as well. What will happen when the ATF regulations go into place is that it will be legal to buy unfinished receivers. They just have to be serialized by the manufacturer. And that's it. And then there's a whole penalty scheme for what happens if you're caught with one of these, or if you're an FFL, what the guidance is for you.
We'll move favorable.
Well, I promised we're gonna, if people have amendments, then I'm giving them fair warning today, and then we'll do that tomorrow. But Delegate Cox has a question. Go ahead.
Just wanted to be clear, Delegate, that this would include retrospective ownership. In other words, possession of any gun that was made by someone prior to the date of its passage. You're also banning those, or is this strictly prospective?
Yeah, so the purchase is looking forward, right? But the grandfather clause is any firearm that's up until January, I think January, whatever a day it is, of 2023, right? So at that, if you have a firearm that's unserialized before then, that was, either given to you, something you made, and that's in your possession, you would take that to an FFL and have that engraved. And I apologize for all the background noise. I have a toddler who's unhappy that he had to wake up from his nap. But yeah, I mean, FFLs, they're used to this process. They charge a fee for it. It's already part of their revenue stream. So there should be no unfamiliarity on that part.
All right. Are there other questions about the contents of the bill? The bill is introduced. All right. Thought there might be a little more discussion. I will say, I understand there may be amendments that are going to be offered tomorrow, and that's fine. We will vote. I don't think our floor session is going to be super long tomorrow, but now that I've said that, who knows? Let's plan on voting tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I'd ask if you're going to submit an amendment to have them into Judiciary Committee offices by 12 by noon. And I think that they'll be fine. That will give staff enough time to get them out to everyone. If you have further questions, I know that Delegate Lopez has been working with Holly as counsel on the bill, so they would be happy to answer your questions. I see Delegate Anderson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just want to ask the committee if they know who killed Alexander Hamilton.
Okay. All right, wait, let's
Aaron Burr.
It wasn't with a polymer 80 Kurt though, so not germane to this bill.
we're not talking about,
It was a musket.
we were finishing the discussion on the ghost gun bill.
Well, no, they were both using ghost guns.
That presumably is the case.
Yeah,
that's the
They
case.
were likely unserialized, if that's.
They were probably not serialized at that point. That is correct.
If it helps, I can sing any song on call if you need.
Yes, I know the whole.
So that concludes our voting session here.
Mr. Chair.
Delegate Cox, do you actually have a question on the ghost guns bill?
I just wanted to add to Delegate Anderson's historical comments and remind the committee that there was a particular general who won our independence for us that carried unserialized pistols into battle. So
Was our government formed then though? I don't know.
All right.
Did he own slaves?
All right.
All right. Thank
you all very much. I need to go through the bills that we passed, tell people what they're going to, who's going to do what on the floor. House Bill 210, Delegate Grammer is going to present on the floor. House Bill 369, I'm going to ask the subcommittee chair, Delegate Crutchfield, to help me with 369. 446, I'll ask Delegate Crutchfield to help me with that. I don't think it's going to need any help. The vice chair on 481, I'll take care of 527. 645, the vice chair. 764, I'll take care of that one. 817, Delegate Shetty. 824, Delegate Williams. Those should go to the floor. We are going to the floor on Monday. There is a distinct possibility that these would hit the floor on Monday. So please be aware of that and ask your staffs to get bill files from Dylan as they are available, presumably on earlier in the day on Monday, as I create more work for the staff. All right, that concludes the end of the business for the voting session. Delegate Fisher, do you have a question? What's your question?
I just had an administrative question. So for the voting tomorrow, are there any other bills that are going to be added or no? Or you'll let us know?
We have the bill that we didn't get to today, House Bill 322. I will tell the committee that there will be voting next week. I would expect voting on Wednesday, at least Wednesday and Thursday. Possible voting session on Friday as well. All right. We thank you all very much. That concludes the voting session for the House Judiciary Committee.